wait for a second here, get myself all set up for what I'm going to read here. And I'm hoping I can really see this. Turn this up. Let's see here. I have no idea. Okay, there we go. Let me see. Right. All right. So let's see. Make sure that I can hear myself. Make sure I can hear myself. Can I hear myself? What about now? Can I hear myself? What about now? All right. Sounds good. All right, so I'm just going to read this. This is actually came out. It looks like 1918. Someone posted this on Twitter, and I thought this was pretty amazing to see. And it's for the influenza, outbreak. So here we go. So let me go ahead and start and see what you guys think about it. Okay, influenza is grippe, whatever. It is now spreading over the country in epidemic form. The last extensive epidemic occurred in 1889 and through 90, and the disease was very prevalent for several years after. The present epidemic disease is plain influenza. The term Spanish influenza has been applied as a more has been applied more contagious during the has been applied because of its recent prevalence in Spain. Influenza occurs every year in the United States, but it is the more contagious during the epidemic, and pneumonia is more frequent complication. So now, what they're saying, if notice the wording here. I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bigger because that's kind of the issue that I'm having right now. Notice the wording that they're saying here and how. Okay, let me try to. Oh, there we go. Notice the wording right here and why and how they're being very forthcoming and forthwith on this. Notice this freaking wording is just it's very concise, telling you, hey, this is something that has happened before, but now it's a little bit different. So it says the present epidemic disease is plain influenza. The term Spanish influenza has been applied because it is the recent prevalence in Spain. Influenza occurs every year in the United States, but it is more contagious during an epidemic, and pneumonia is a more frequent complication. Influenza is caused by a germ, the influenza bacillus, which lives but a short time outside the body. Fresh air and sunshine will kill the germ in a few minutes. The disease is spread by the moist secretions from the nose and throats of infected persons. Protect yourself from infection, keep well, and do not get hysterical over the epidemic. Do not get hysterical. Can you imagine if they at least approached us like this and how reasonable the response from people would be? Protect yourself from infection, keep well, and do not get hysterical over the epidemic. Avoid being sprayed by the nose and throat the secretions of others. Beware of those who are coughing and sneezing. Avoid crowded streetcars. Walk to the office if possible. Keep out of crowds. Avoid theaters, moving picture shows, and other places of public assembly. Do not travel by railroad unless absolutely necessary. Do not drink from glasses or cups that have been used by others unless you are sure they have been thoroughly cleansed. You do much to lessen the danger to yourself by keeping in good physical condition. You can do much to lessen the danger to yourself by keeping in good physical condition. They haven't said anything like that. for COVID. Nothing. Avoid close, stuffy, and poorly ventilated rooms. Insist upon fresh air, but avoid disagreeable drafts. Eat simple, nourishing food and drink plenty of water. I mean, they haven't said anything like this when it comes to COVID. Can you imagine if they had approached us like this? These are suggestions of that people do, and guess who? How many people would go ahead and go with it if they knew if you were talking to them like an adult. Secure at least 7 hours of sleep. Avoid physical fatigue. Do not sleep or sit around in damp clothing. Keep the feet dry. Influenza usually has a sudden onset of chilliness, severe headache, and aching all over. At the times the disease begins with nausea, vomiting, and and abdominal pain. Fever begins early, frequently. Catarrhal symptoms do not appear until later. When they do, there are symptoms of a bad cold in the head with a raw throat and dry cough. Weakness and prostration out of proportion to the fever are common. Former epidemics have been categorized by marked mental depression. In the present epidemic, many of the cases are having a gradual onset, more like gradually increasing cold in the head. Practically, let me try to bring it down a little bit. Practically, the great danger from influenza is pneumonia, which, just like COVID, which tend to follow in a considerable percentage of the cases. For the protection of others, if you are really sick, stay home and remain there until fever is over. Until your fever is over. Not stay home, not 2 weeks to flatten the curve and all that. Not any of that, right? Not any of that. Not any of overboard thinking and stuff like that. Let me go ahead and say hello to this person here. I have to stop and say hello. There we go. And there. So, for the protection of others, if you are really sick, stay at home, remain in there until the fever is over. A day in bed at the very beginning may save you from serious consequences later on. Man, can you imagine if they approached us like this and said, look, keep up your physical health, have nourishing meals. Nourishing meals. I don't understand how this is so freaking hard. Can you imagine if they told us these things from the beginning, instead of everybody run out, hurry up, we're going to shut everything down, we're going to shut down the gyms, but keep the liquor stores open. But, hey, we're not worried about that, right? If you are up and about, protect healthy persons from infection. Do not spray others with secretions from your nose and throat, and coughing, sneezing, laughing, or talking. Cover the mouth with a handkerchief. Boil your handkerchiefs and other contaminated articles. Wash your clothes frequently. Keep away from others as much as possible while you have a cough. I mean, we were told that we can't even wear bandanas. Do you remember everybody said you can't wear bandanas around? So we just decided to pollute the oceans with a bunch of masks, and everybody's running around. These are practical suggestions. Is all they were doing. 1918, I think that's what it said. If you become ill, don't try to keep on with your work. If you become, they didn't sit back and just. They didn't sit back and just shut everyone down. They said, hey, if you do get sick, take it easy. Get nourishing meals to try to keep from getting sick in the first place. Fight the disease rationally. Oh my God. They actually treated us. Can you imagine? They treated us like absolute freaking adults. Fight the disease rationally and do not become unduly alarmed. How many people do you know that the first and how many people can you imagine that the first thing that happened whenever they got tested for COVID and might have come a positive for COVID or had COVID symptoms, they just ran to the freaking hospital? How many people do you know probably did that? In an average case of recovery, the acute symptoms follows in 5 or 6 days. To hasten the recovery and lessen the danger of complications, go to bed at once and keep the body warm. There should be plenty of fresh air, but chilling is to be avoided. At the beginning of the disease, what is it? A cathartic, such as a 2 to whatever. That seems like some old stuff. 2 to 1 and 1.5 or 3 grains of Kuma, whatever it is, followed by, oh my goodness, seedless powder and Epsom salts is useful. Aspirin in grain doses is useful for pain. Do not take large doses of aspirin, phenacidin, or other medicines. Send for your doctor. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they would have came to us at the beginning of this? First of all, not shut down everyone's businesses, just came to us and said, hey, look, do not panic. We've had problems before. We've had these things before. Do not panic. Keep in good physical health, nourishing meals. Please don't go to McDonald's. That's not real food. Please don't go to Burger King. That's not real food. Please, let's go. Make sure you cook something. Make sure you get enough rest. Oh no, they told everybody to sit in front of freaking Netflix. They told everyone to sit in front of Netflix. That's what they said. Hey, everyone, sit in front of Netflix, be completely stagnant and unhealthy, and just lay there. And we'll let you know. We'll let you know when to come out. It's what they told everyone. Oh, and you can vape all you want. You can't go to the gym. We don't want you going to the gym or anything like that. But you can vape, and you can do all these other things like that. Yeah, you can do all that. When this thing right here is just giving you practical tips and letting you know, hey, look, this is what you need to do. So I'm going to move on from this right here and go to this. I'm going to go ahead and open this here. Okay, so I'm going to close these. Young Dems more likely to despise the other party. Right here is where I just need to go ahead and say, what'd you say? These are old methods are way better than exactly. They're way better than the CDC than what the CDC's told us. This is ridiculous. What they're honestly, the CDC is treating people like they're absolute idiots. The other one that was from 1918, guess what they're teaching? They're treating everyone like, look, hey, you do what's good for you, but let us go ahead and tell you that, hey, what's better, what would actually be better for you to do. Get enough sleep, eat well, do not panic, things like that. These are you do what you need to do, but this is what we would say do. How awesome is that? Anyway, young Dems more likely to despise the other party. College students who would not, whatever. I guess that was whatever the question is say. So would not go out on a date, shop at or support a business, be friends with, work for someone who voted for opposing presidential candidate. And let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. My old Charles's eyes aren't what they used to be. So nearly a quarter of college students wouldn't be friends with someone who voted for the other presidential candidate, with Democrats far more likely to dismiss people than Republicans, according to Generation Lab Axios polling. Why it matters: partisan divides as each side inhabits parallel political, cultural, and media universes. Make a future of discord and distrust in the U.S. all more likely. By the poll numbers, 5% of Republicans said they wouldn't be friends with someone with an opposed from the opposite party, compared to 37% Democrats. 71%. No, I don't think they're. What do you mean that they're signaling? Dude, what the hell? What are you talking about? It's just all they're doing is just they ask people. And we've and this has been said in months and maybe even years ago. That I think there was an article that came out that said Facebook. I think it was liberals are like double or whatever that is percentage more likely to unfriend someone over politics. Duh. And if you can really think that this is just signaling, they're saying, hey, there's Republicans that are doing this too. Democrats are bad. It's bad for in what they're saying here is it's bad for both sides to do this. It's bad for both sides to do this. I don't see a problem. You know, it is what it is. How the righteous they are by not dealing with the other party. Well, yeah, that's the truth. But the thing is that it's not good for either side to do it. But for me, the reason that I'm actually bringing this up right here is because when Republicans, those so-called principled Republicans, always want to sit back and try to make the other side like them, there's a good chance that the other side isn't going to like you no matter what you do. They need to be. There's Republicans that are making policy that need to look at articles like this and say, hey, you know what? Stop trying to reach across the aisle. It is what it is. Stop trying to reach across the aisle. Stop trying to be liked. They're not going to like you. It's stupid. And just go ahead and put forth policies as if you're not even worried about the other side. Because these numbers are pretty bad. Why it matters. By the poll numbers, I'm sorry, it was 71% of Democrats were not going to date with someone of opposing views versus 31% of Republicans. 30% of Democrats and 7% of Republicans wouldn't want to work for someone with a different that voted differently than them. Between the lines, Democrats argue that modern GOP positions spearheaded by former President Donald Trump are far outside the mainstream and polite conversation. Some have expressed unyielding positions on matters of identity, including abortion, LGBTQ rights, and immigration, where they argue human rights and not just policy differences are at stake. Let's see. Between the line, Democrats argue that the modern GOP position spearheaded by Donald Trump, I just said that, women are more likely than men to take a strong position stance on personal choices. And we knew this. Really, and I've said this before, the Democrat Party at this point is very, very feminine is very, very feminine in the trajectory that they're on right now. They act like women do. And then I'm not saying that all women, of course it's not all women, but it is a very feminine mindset to be this way. I don't want to even talk to you. I know I'm right. With a lot of guys, it's like, look, we agree to disagree. Let's see what happens. Let's see whatever happens. Let me try to say it just the right way. Men are more like, let's just go ahead and see what happens, and then we can change course if things aren't really going like they're supposed to go. With women, it's like, I know I'm right. It is what it is. We're gonna stay into this until we die. It is what it is. We'll die on this hill. All right, so women are more likely than men to take strong partisan stance in their personal choices. 41% of women would go out on a date with someone who voted for the opposing candidate compared to 67% of men. 76% of women would work for someone who voted for the other candidate versus 86% of men. Just 68% of women compared to 84% of men would shop at or support a business that is someone of the other party. So basically, I say all that to say this. Republicans, it was so amazing that what's his name? Ron DeSantis said this, and I was just thought it was amazing. And Trump said this, but Trump didn't govern like this. He said, hey, the other side's not going to like you no matter what you do. So you might as well just do, I'm paraphrasing here, that you might as well go ahead and do what you're going to do, put forth the policies that you think are best for your people, and it is what it is. Stop trying to make the other side like you. That's what this article, to me, is really all about. Stop trying to make the other side like you, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, or what Trump would have done, would have made these people actually go with whatever you're gonna whatever your policy is. They hate you, so stop. And really, this further shows, let's just break this whole thing up. The whole country, just break it up. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Figure out how to get off of this thing here.